Welcome to Foundations. We're the marriage architects, Marc and Heather. And whether you're newlyweds or celebrating decades together, we know there are still paths to discovering new dreams, vision, and purpose for your marriage. We can build a marriage blueprint for you. Just go to foundationsquiz.com or click the link in the show notes labeled quiz. God has incredible plans for your marriage. Join us today. Welcome today. We're here talking about home improvement and how to get your house right, how to use the things that are difficult in marriage, the challenging things in a marriage to make it better. And we had talked earlier in a previous episode about having a flood, not a flood, but maybe some water damage in our own foundation here in our house. And that was a conflict. That was intense. That was emergency 101 to get it taken care of. And I'm just thinking, Marc, lately there's a lot of hurting Christian marriages. There is a lot of pain in churches. We have family members who are pastors and in church services. And they said, boy, we have so many people in our church that the marriages are struggling and really need some healing, really need some attention and help.
Well, the church as a whole might be experiencing that because there's been a few failures going on. There's been a few leadership failures, so to speak, in ministry. And so churches can be impacted by that. Certainly if you're following or listening and those are trusted kind of advisors, that can all hurt, create pain. And surprisingly or not, it can also create conflict because you bring that in. And you bring that into your marriage, you may not processing it well, or maybe you didn't process it at all. So it does create some conflict to your marriage. The whole conflict concept and aspect of it is one that really is interesting thought, because it took me a while to shift my focus on this, but it really should be embraced.
Yeah.
And for one simple reason, it refines you and it purifies you. When you think about any wedding band that's out there, gold, platinum, those are refined by fire and pressure and heat. Diamonds are created deep in the earth and are mined, obviously for their beauty and their value, but they weren't made overnight, and they were refined by heat and pressure. That's the only way we can get it done.
It's I don't like it. Think of a pearl, and there's always going to be a little imperfection. So if you're thinking that you're just trying to get past this next conflict to perfection in your marriage, it will never happen.
Ever.
So you're looking for the fruit. I always say you're not looking for perfection. You're looking for the fruit and the peace and the blessings of the fruit of the Spirit in your marriage. Because conflict, haven't you seen this, Marc? I've seen it in my own counseling office for years. People would come in devastated in conflict. And I didn't want to be too positive, but I really thought, I'm so glad you're here, because now we can start doing something about it. I wasn't the counselor that wanted to keep people in my office for a paycheck or just to keep hanging out. That's why we're doing this.
Right.
That's why we've started the Marriage Architects, because we want to say, run to the fear, run to this problem, the conflict, because that's a place that we can start doing some good work.
Absolutely. It's a part of our human experience. Just no one told me this during any of my practicum or clinical training, but like, you're now the catalyst, right? Congratulations.
Yes.
Here's your degree.
You found us.
And now go out and create conflict. So a lot of times people would come to us, they would be sitting there, we're talking, and it's really nice and friendly. And I'm like, this is not moving the needle. And like you, like, we got to make some progress here. So you're now creating that conflict, or at least helping to facilitate it by asking questions, or maybe even just one question, strategic question, and then the gloves are off, and here we go. So luckily, we were there to help
monitor,
to keep that moving in the right direction and towards a positive healing place. You can still do this, even if you're at home. And again, we hear you. This may be a really tough and dangerous place to be, right? How am I going to talk about conflict with my spouse? That's not even safe, because that's all we do is conflict. And, you'd be going, we even do that really, really well. Again, God's going to help you navigate this reach out to him first, right? The answers aren't always with your therapist or with your coaches or with friends and family. The answers lie solely with God, and he's going to speak to you. His word's going to guide you. There's no doubt about that. Definitely start there. Just listen to a few of the things that we're going to talk about today, because I think they'll help you, right? This is a natural process in marriage. This is actually good for your marriage. If it's done right and the outcomes are positive, you're going to refine your marriage, sharpen your skills. You're probably going to sharpen your spouse's skills. It's going to bring them closer together. No surprise. That's why you got married in the first place, because you didn't want to be alone. You didn't want to do life by yourself. God shows you this wonderful person. And now you're going to bring it together for something wonderful, for something that only the two of you could accomplish with God's help.
But there's a purification. That's right. Go back to the refiner's fire, that gold ring on your finger, to remember God's never done. That gold ring on your finger is a circle, the refiner's fire. And so you're never going to arrive. It's never going to be, but this is the conflict, is where the refiner's fire is going to purify, is going to redeem your marriage, is going to take it from where it is today at whatever place. Don't be afraid of the conflict. Lean in, listen to us. We had written this in one of our courses, and I just want to read it. Conflict is a natural part of our human experience, but God uses it, especially in marriage, to reveal his redeeming, refining love. And through conflict, we learn to rely less on our sinful nature and on his grace. He wants some stuff to go in our pride, in our insecurities, in our control. He wants those things to go, and we put those on each other. We can think we can control our spouse or control each other, and they start to bother us, and then resistance builds. So people start, and we see this in Christian couples all the time in ministry, and people are having affairs with each other at churches. And I'm like, oh my goodness, that little seed that started that conflict turned their head towards another, just thinking that it was better, or habit, or thinking that somebody else or something else is going to meet a need that you have. But there's a source that needs to be addressed.
Absolutely. That last part of that sentence, that paragraph that Heather read, is, turn it over to his transforming power. And here's, that really is the key.
Yes, don't turn it over to what you think is going to solve it, another person.
There is no book. There's no person. There's no counselor out there.
No.
And we got the pedigree and the credibility to say that boldly. There's no counselor out there that can transform your marriage and has that knowledge, intimate knowledge, to transform it like God. And easier said than done. You can't always.
It takes work. It's not going to just happen. You have to pick up your mat. And do you want to get well? I want your Christian marriage to get well in the conflict that it is stuck in, that it is the wheels have stopped.
Yeah. And thinking through that and going, okay, I want to say this. And that's the first thought that comes to mind. And for me,
that's the central nature, the response, reaction.
Right. And that's the first thought that I don't want to say.
Nope.
It's taken me a while to.
Okay, we're back to our tool, the red light. Stop. Red light,
absolutely.
Or at least yellow, caution. Don't do your first reaction.
Absolutely. Think through it. What's it really saying? It's almost, you're reviewing, having that conversation in your mind, going, this had the outcome I want. Yeah. Sometimes it is, and it's okay, and you can move forward. Other times I have to look at myself and go, okay, that may feel really good for about 2 seconds to say, but that's not going to produce the outcome that I want. And sometimes I still say it, and then I am back to starting over, and I have to ask for forgiveness, and we just start again. And that's okay. But all of that is that when I'm turning that over and letting God lead, a lot of that can be avoided, or I can hear from him and move quicker through that conflict. We give some great tools and through our coursework that's online. You can take a look at that. And we know your marriage might be hurting, and we know that this is real. And the conflict topic, you're going, we're really good at this, and because we're living it. But listen to a few of the things that we want to talk about here and just leave you with, right? There's 4 things that I think are really important. Happy couples don't avoid disagreements, not at all. They resolve them while remaining respectful and strengthening through that respect. They're strengthening their relationship, right? Because now you feel they may not necessarily understand me just yet, but at least they're being respectful. They're listening. And that shows care and concern.
Yeah. And another thing is all couples have differences, as you were saying, and differences and disagreements, but learning how to stay in truth and love. And that's another tool of ours, staying in that, okay, I can say the right thing, the truth, the correct thing in the wrong way. And that can cause conflict. Or I can blend that correct thing in the right way. That would bring healing. That would bring connection.
And what's the other word?
Peace.
It's not a great word.
Yes.
It just by saying that and knowing with that love, I get peace. Because I know, again, a lot of you are wanting that. You want that for your homes. Your kids may feel it. The pain may be just circulating in the air, but all that brings peace. I love that.
It's a shift.
I love that.
Truth and love brings peace.
Absolutely. Another thought to think about here is a lot of studies that show that the amount of disagreements are not related necessarily to marital happiness, which I think is a lie that we've bought into in our society. So just because you're disagreeing maybe 2 or 3 times a day doesn't have some formula to go.
It's
okay.
different for everybody, isn't it?
Oh, and different depending on the time of the year or
everything.
All those things, those environmental things matter as well. So just because you are having some disagreements, a few more disagreements at the holidays, how many people did you invite?
It's the circle of just you under your roof and your house and your relationship starts to grow because of family relationships.
And expectations that are built there. Sometimes they make sense, sometimes they don't.
That's a whole other podcast that we're excited to do because of the holidays and how that affects couples.
So just know that it doesn't matter if you're having some disagreements, 2, 3, 4 times a day. I think that's fine. And I encourage couples, matter of fact, it's okay to walk through those, resolve them quickly, figure out which ones are the priority. And the reason I say that is because that's the way you handle them is more important than how many you have. Don't ignore them. Please don't ignore them. I don't think, what someone said or what they did was okay if it made you feel bad.
Not okay.
No, you've got to resolve it, but move quickly to resolve those, especially if they're small. Handle them efficiently, move them out of the way, much like the garbage, the trash, get it out of the way, and then move on to the things that really matter.
Exactly, because it's the straw broke the camel's back, because they weren't addressing what needed to be addressed, and then all of a sudden you're shocked because the one little thing was the breaking point. And just to remind you that when you have our last point here is that couples need to learn how to fight fear. So often they begin to attack the person.
Right.
When they're fighting, when you're just stupid, all the words, the identity words that we start to throw on each other, we have completely lost who we are speaking those words to our spouse. We've completely lost the other person's identity, that they are a child of God, the image of God. I am attacking that person. I don't care how wrong they are, whatever they did, they are the Lord's. You made a covenant before the Lord. And as I realize that, and that's what we love to teach people, that process, disagreements aren't good. They're clarifying and they're refining and learning how to fight fair, learning how, I don't even like that fight fair, but it's been used so much. It's how to communicate correctly and just communicate with differences that will strengthen both. It's a game changer for the marriage and your own identity and the identity of the relationship.
You bring up a lot of really good points there. The covenant piece we talked about is your relationship with God. That's what Heather said, and that is 100% the truth. This is not about your marriage certificate. This is not about some contract. A lot of marriages come with prenuptials and postnuptials and all kinds of contracts now for different things. This is not about that because those can all be modified, broken, they can be thrown away. The covenant that you have with your spouse, if you're a Christian and you made this covenant before God, is with Him as well.
Spiritual.
It is. It's a bigger piece, right? He established covenants back at the beginning of time. Those covenants become important in the sense that we are in relationship with him. You don't want to break that, and you don't want to have to certainly repair that. And that's the priority. That's how important this is. The other piece, and you touch on that's important in that concept, is the identity, right? We know, because we're intimate with our spouse, spiritually, mentally, physically, we know how to strike a chord. You know the weak spots. And if you go there, then you're just repairing. And sometimes those lead to bitterness and unforgiveness, right? Because that can be painful. So when I think of fighting fair, I think I'm never using the things that you know intimately about your spouse to make a point or to win an argument or to think
or to attack,
to get ahead, right? It's not going to go well. It's not going to go well. And it violates the very essence of, like I said, the covenant marriage that you've established, because that's not what God wants for your marriage, about the relationship that he expects.
Exactly. So we want to just leave you with these few thoughts of how to deal with conflict and how to start to view it not as the enemy, because the enemy comes to steal, rob, and destroy, but the Lord, the shepherd, the good shepherd, comes to bring life. And conflict is the refiner's fire. Don't let the enemy use your conflict to destroy your marriage. He will, if you allow that. Stop it. The tool of the traffic signal, stop it today. Listen to the Holy Spirit, the caution, and begin to start doing and assessing. And check us out at themarriagearchitects.co, because we have a lot of resources there that we just would love to connect with you and help you with in this process of conflict in the Christian marriage, because the enemy is a deceiver and a liar. And that's no way to live your life. God has a plan for you. He has a way out of the situation you're in right now. And we believe that wholeheartedly, and we want to just connect with you sooner than later. Thanks for joining us at Foundations. Remember to take our quiz for your free marriage blueprint by clicking the link in the show notes. You can also check out our website at foundationsquiz.com.